Okay, well, it's 10:02, so thank you all for joining us. So like I mentioned, our colleagues are going to be looking out for any latecomers. Welcome to our Small Business Administration Certification Overview. It's one of the most commonly asked questions we get on a daily basis. How do certifications play a role in government contracting? But before we get started, I wanted to just bring to your attention once again, if you haven't seen it in your newsletters thus far, that Southeast PA PTAC is now Southeast PA Apex Accelerator. So in case you missed it, as of October 2022, our Procurement Technical Assistance Program is now under the management of the U.S. Department of Defense, DoD, Office of Small Business Program, OSBP. This administrative change includes the 90-some centers nationwide, and it includes our Southeast PA Center as well. As a part of this transition, we are being rebranded now as Southeast PA Apex Accelerators, and you will notice us slowly changing our digital footprint to implement our new name, a new logo, new branding, and new contact information on all of our email correspondences, websites, and social medias. What will not change is that we will continue to provide valuable support to businesses looking to enter the government contracting market, or those that are already in the government market. As part of this change, our scope and resources will be increasing in order to do more with the businesses we assist and the new ones coming into our program. So whether we are called Procurement Technical Assistance Center or Apex Accelerators, we continue to be here for you, our clients, with all of your government contracting needs. The new Apex Accelerator program name reflects a focus on innovation, supplier diversity, and helping small businesses go through government contracting. So we in Southeast PA look forward to continue to provide you the exceptional support as Apex Accelerators. So thank you to all of our businesses in our community. Do not be alarmed when you see an email coming from Apex Accelerators. We did not hijack your information. We are simply undergoing a rebranding process. So feel free to reach out to us. So you will see us in the next year use our name interchangeably until we fully transition into Apex Accelerators. Once again, a reminder of what we do. We are a federally funded program, as we said, we provide no-cost government contracting assistance. So I find it to be one of the best hidden secrets, as the world is flooded with YouTube channels looking to cash in on the services we provide for free. We provide vendor registration, government marketing, research and plan development, and proposal evaluation. We are located in Kutztown, Lehigh, and Widener universities via SBDC centers, and we also have presence in Philadelphia. And counties that we serve are Berks, Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Lehigh, Montgomery, Northampton, and Philadelphia. If you're not in one of those counties, we will certainly be happy to find you an appropriate Apex Accelerator for you that serves your county. And today we have a great pleasure for Jennifer Tilden to join us from Small Business Administration. Jennifer Tilden serves as the primary contact for minority and underserved federal contracting programs in Eastern Pennsylvania and Delaware, including 8A program, a woman-owned business, veteran-owned, HubZones, and other small disadvantaged businesses. Jen joined the SBA team for the technology procurement team of the Army Contracting Command, APG, in Maryland. She previously served as the Deputy Small Business and Native American PM for the Army Corps of Engineers, Middle East District. Prior to joining the federal government, Jennifer served as staff attorney for the Ho-Chunk Tribal Nation of Wisconsin and as a legal intern to the late Senator Arlen Specter. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I will stop sharing and pass the baton to you.
Thank you very much, Natasha. Thank you for making it through. I know you're not feeling well. Thank you for bearing with me.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jen Tilden. As was mentioned, I'm pretty much the head of all the minority contracting programs in basically Eastern Pennsylvania and Delaware. I can also get you help easily if you're outside that area. Today, we're going to be talking at a sort of 50,000 foot level about different types of certifications available and how to start those processes. I would like to say up front, everything I am talking about is in regards to federal contracting. If you want to do business with the Commonwealth, if you want to do business with, say, the city of Philadelphia, or if you want to do business with a prime like Lockheed, you may have to go through a slightly different set of instructions. If you reach out to me and tell me where you need to get certified, I can get you to the right place to get the right certification. Okay, can everyone see this? Anyone? Can everyone see this?
Yes, Jen, we can see the
Yes.
SBA.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
One of the first things I'd like to mention is a lot of people reach out and contact me and say, I am a certified small business, or I'm a small business. How do I prove that I am a small business? Is there a certificate? And it would make sense that there would be a certificate when we're talking about a small business certification. But in fact, that's not actually true. Unless you are a member of certain groups like the 8A Business Development Program, you will not actually receive a piece of paper. If you need to prove to an agency, to a prime, to anyone else, you actually are going to want to point them to your www.sam, that is Sierra Alpha Mike.gov. That registration is the proof that you use for an agency, for a contracting officer, for any entity that needs to verify your status. If you ask somebody to go to SAM and they will not accept that, please feel free to reach out to me. So as was mentioned early on, we have a couple of different types of certifications available at the federal level. And I'm going to try to hit each one. If you are interested in any program that I talk about today, please feel free to either reach out to me directly. My information is in the slides. Or if you look in the chat, I put in the information for my LinkedIn profile. There is tons of information in there on all of these different certifications and additional information on my bio if you're interested. The first program that I'm going to talk about today, because it's probably our sort of flagship program here at the 8A or here at the SBA, is the 8A Business Development Program. The 8A program is a 9-year program dedicated to sociologically and economically disadvantaged individuals. What it basically is for 9 years, you are partnered with a local SBA office who will teach you how to do business with the federal government. We can help you with introductions. We can help you with marketing material. We can help you get that perfect pitch ready for any agencies. Pretty much anything you need to expand your business, we are at your disposal to help you as much as we can. I will say up front, the application for the 8A program is difficult. It used to be a ton of paperwork. At this point, it's just a ton of online files and uploaded documents, but it takes a lot of time. It can be very frustrating in terms of people coming out and going back for more information. But if you qualify and if you're accepted, it can be an incredible benefit to your business. As general rules, if you are going to advertise yourself as an 8A certified business, you must be certified by the SBA. That means you have actually received the acceptance letter through our portal. If you do not, then that's actually fraud and you can be debarred. There are two major parts of the 8A program. There is competitive awards, which means that you as a bidder will actually be competing to some extent. It could be that you're competing with other 8As, or it could be that you're competing against all businesses. On the other hand, there is the non-competitive or so-called sole source benefit of the 8A program. In some cases, 8A participants are able to do a non-competitive award. What that means is instead of the standard procedure, when a contracting officer would go out to SAM and advertise a new opportunity, in the case of the 8A firm, sometimes a contracting officer will reach out directly to me and they will say, I have this job. I would like to offer it directly to your 8A blank. And if they're eligible, then I will say, okay. And at that point, the agency and your company sit down at the table and talk about pricing. No other firm even hears about the job. So that can be an amazing boom for a lot of businesses. There are two ways to get in. One of them is called preponderance of the evidence. The other is called presumed class. We'll talk about both for a moment. As an FYI, if you have looked at 8A in the past, but you were a little too high on the financial side, they have just upgraded the numbers. It has gone up to 800, actually, hold that thought 1 second, I apologize. But one of the major thoughts that you have to realize with 8A, a lot of people look at 8A because they think that it's somehow a magic drawer of contracts. And what that is a lot of people assume that I actually have these contracts already in hand that I'm just waiting to deal out to new 8As. That is not true at all. We will teach you the tools to be effective in things like marketing, to be effective in rainmaking, to be effective in the federal market. However, it is up to you and your business to utilize those tools and actually turn them into real work. And it's exciting to be on the phone today with an Apex Accelerator because they offer a lot of great services that even my office cannot. I cannot help you put together an individual proposal. It has basically to do with the fact that that would essentially be the federal government bidding against itself. However, Apex Accelerators can do exactly that. They can help you sit down and put together individual plans, and that is an amazing service. I really want to double down on the idea that you are looking at so many resources here that a lot of people don't know about, but have incredible value. I had mentioned that 8A program is two parts. It has to do with both if you're economically disadvantaged and whether you're socially disadvantaged. As I mentioned, the numbers just went up. So now, in order to figure out whether you're economically disadvantaged for the purposes of the United States government, it means that your personal net worth, that is your assets minus your liabilities, must be less than $850,000. Please note, business equity is removed from your net worth. In addition, any equity you have in a primary residence is removed from that calculation, and any money that you might have in an inaccessible retirement account or a Roth IRA is also removed from that personal net worth. So a lot of people suddenly find out that they're quote unquote financially or economically disadvantaged. Second portion, your 3-year average income has to be $400,000 or less. The main reason that we do the average income is we are aware that sometimes you can have a great year, and it may be because you sold something that suddenly became important because of COVID, or you may have hit that one big contract that you're kind of coasting on for a few years, or something like that. We know that 1 year does not mean that your world has changed. So we average that over 3 years. And if you are pulling in less than $400,000, finally, we look at whether the fair market value of all your assets is $6.5 million or less. Again, these are pretty high numbers in terms of what most people think is financially better off. Please realize we are the United States federal government. You cannot hide things from us, and to try to do so constitutes fraud. Unfortunately, I've seen applications where people elect to forget to mention a $4 million shore house, or people elect to suddenly will a whole bunch of property over their children or something like that. We are the federal government. We are very good at this. We will find out. Please be honest on your application. I also mentioned that you have to be sociologically disadvantaged to qualify. What does sociologically disadvantaged mean? Well, generally speaking, it means you fall into one of 5 categories. That is person of color American, Native American, Hispanic American, subcontinent Asian American, or Asian Pacific American. If you are not in one of these categories, does it mean you cannot get in the 8A program? No, it does not. What it means is, instead of being presumed to be discriminated against, like those 5 categories, you are going to have to prove on a personal level how you have been discriminated against because of an inalterable characteristic. And in addition, you have to show this discrimination has been long-term, has affected your ability to either secure funding or to secure contracts, and it has to take place in the United States. In many cases, but not all, this comes into play with something like a woman in a traditionally male-dominated field. Often we see this with STEM or with construction. If you are a woman in a traditionally male-dominated field, you don't necessarily fall into one of those top 5 categories, but you can often show long-term discrimination based on gender. If you think you fall into one of these off cases, please feel free to reach out at any time, and I'm happy to talk to you about your individual case. Please, 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 please be aware. 8A is a one bite at the apple program. You can only go through the 8A program once as a person. You can only go through the 8A program once as a company. We are not looking for serial entrepreneurs here. So that means that your 1 9-year term is very important, and you want to make sure that you go for it at the right time. As part of your application, we are going to be looking at things like your contract capacity, your cash flow, whether or not you actually have the capability to run larger jobs. Do you have the correct materials? Do you have the correct instruments? Do you have the correct machines? Whatever it is, we need to see that if a contract came in, say on your first day, that you could actually perform. We also have to look at things like past performance. While we understand that not everybody will have federal government experience before applying for one of these programs, you want to have as close to federal experience as possible. And certainly you need to have experience, period. If you are interested in branching out into the federal government and don't know how to open that door, I am happy to help you get these contracts to put on your application. Just be aware that we are going to be looking at things like past performance. Big point that a lot of people don't seem to realize. One of the main parts of becoming an 8A participant means you are willing and able to take advice from others. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing that some people can't take advice, but if you can't, this is really not the program for you. Because in a lot of cases, we may be teaching you things that you've never seen before, or sometimes there may actually be some, hey, you might want to change this marketing material, or hey, let's teach you how to more effectively present. But you have to be willing to accept that information and make changes based on it. Otherwise, this really isn't the program for you. The next major federal program we have, which is actually the newest set-aside program we have, is the Woman-Owned Small Business Program. Woman-Owned Small Business Program is a different kind of set-aside because we are a different kind of case. Generally speaking, when a contracting officer goes to set aside a procurement for HubZone or 8A, for any of these others, the set aside is based on some sort of minority standpoint. Either you want to set it aside so that Hispanic and POC and other markets have a better chance. Sometimes you may want to set it aside so that veterans have a better chance, or some other group. The thing about the Woman-Owned Small Business Program is women are not actually a minority. By statistics, there are actually more of us than there are of men. So if you don't have a minority, how do you make a minority contract set aside? Somebody way above my pay grade figured out that if you go through individual NAICS codes, that is North American Industrial Classification System codes, they pulled out the individual codes in which women have not traditionally had fair opportunity, and there are only set-asides for women in those types of work. The general idea behind this entire program is that there are many cases in which women do not need help to put together effective bids and to compete against male-owned businesses. In some cases, there is even a presumption in favor of females winning contracts, say florist or interior design. So the federal government actually plucked out the codes in which females have never had fair opportunity. If you are in a line of work that you think, hey, this is kind of an old boy sort of thing, please reach out to me or please reach out to Kutztown, and we can get you a list of those NAICS codes where women are presumed to not have fair opportunity. If you are trying to certify for federal purposes, there is now a centralized database for all your information. That is www.certify.sba.gov. Then you can work through the process of applying for a lot of our programs, also including 8A. How do you know whether or not you're a WOSB? The main tipping point for all of these programs is it has to be 51% owned and operated by blank. 51% owned and operated by women, 51% owned and operated by vets, whatever certification you're looking for, it's got to be that 51%. I say this because sometimes we get a call where, say, the wife is a vet and the husband is subcontinent Asian American. And they're like, can we bid both of these? Great question. The answer is actually no. One of you has to own the majority share and you will bid as that type. So 51%, again, you have to be a member of one of these stated minorities. Your contract has to fall under one of the codes that has female set aside. In addition, it has to be clearly you're the one that's running the company. You have to have the top title. You have to have a resume that supports your position. You have to have full-time devotion. Whatever regular business hours are in your line of work, you have to be working there those hours. And of course, obviously, we're looking first for men who are putting women in a high point just to get access to those contracts. And in addition, we want to make sure that federal woman-owned small business money actually goes to woman-owned small businesses. There is no minimum amount of time your business needs to be operational before you can qualify as a woman-owned small business. Generally speaking, we suggest that you've been into business 2 or more years because before you apply to the 8A Business Development Program, because again, we're going to be looking at things like capacity and past performance. Woman-owned small business starts from day one. Obviously, if you're woman-owned, that doesn't take 2 years to kick in. The main takeaway about the Woman-Owned Small Business Program, and I realize a lot of people have had trouble with or are still dealing with issues regarding the certified.sba.gov platform Woman-Owned Small Business application. If you have an active application and you're having problems, please reach out to me at any time. I'm happy to help you look into your case. But the general theory here is if you're not on that list, if you're not in a traditionally male-dominated field, there is no benefit to your company at a federal level for going through the Woman-Owned Small Business certification process. It is not that your company is not woman-owned. Certainly it is woman-owned if you're a woman and you own the company. However, it's not going to necessarily benefit you because there will never be contracts set aside for you because of your gender. They're never going to exist. There's really no reason to go through the process unless you need it for another reason. But I know a lot of people get tied up and they're so worried that it's going to take so long to work through this application process. You may be able to skip it entirely, depending on what you do for a living. We heard at the very beginning that the Apex accelerators offer amazing help that is otherwise either not available or in many cases, hundreds, thousands of dollars. I would like to mention right now, my office is happy to help look through your 8A application or your woman-owned small business application. In addition, as I mentioned before, if you are applying to one of these programs and run into some sort of problem, please feel free to reach out as well. The next program is the one that occasionally people hear about, but nobody understands. And when I say nobody understands, to be fair, I am talking about both the government and contractors. The HubZone program is the historically underutilized business zone program. It was started quite a while ago by Senator Pitt Bond. Bond realized that you can keep putting educational dollars, you can keep putting benefit dollars into either extremely urban or extremely rural places, and it's not going to help, because even if folks are trained, there are no job opportunities. So they started the HubZone program trying to specifically bring contracting dollars into areas of high unemployment and low revenue. You have to be certified by the SBA as a HubZone. You will receive information saying you're a registered HubZone. The HubZone map is going to be changing this summer. Every couple of years, they update the map based on, sometimes neighborhoods change, and sometimes military bases close or things like that. So they update the map every couple of years. They are updating the map this summer. So please be aware that may affect your eligibility depending on where you're located. What do you need to have in order to be a HubZone business? In order to qualify as a HubZone, your principal office must be located in a HubZone. In addition, 35% of your employees must live in a HubZone. Please note, they don't have to live in the same HubZone where your office is located. This comes up sometimes in cases where, say, somebody has an office in Camden, but a lot of their employees live in Philly because we have lower insurance and lower taxes. In that case, if they are in the correct part of Philly, that will still count because they're both HubZones. If, for example, you have a home-based business and your home is located in a HubZone, if 35% of your employees in your home qualify, then you're fine. This comes up a lot because I get calls about sole proprietors. People will call and they always seem kind of embarrassed to tell me that they're a sole proprietor and they work out of their home. Please never, 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 never be embarrassed by being a sole proprietor or a couple of friends working out of your home. That's how Microsoft started. That's how Apple Computer started. That's how Nirvana started. Everybody starts somewhere, and a lot of times it is a home-based business. I am not going to look down on you because you're working out of your house. Spoiler alert, right now I'm working out of my house. I'm sitting in my dining room because I do telework now. There is no embarrassment of having your business in your house. If you have business in your house and it's, say, your husband and wife team, then obviously you're located in a HubZone, and 100% of your employees live in a HubZone. So bam, you qualify. If you're wondering about how to go about proving this or for more information on the program, please either check my LinkedIn or reach out to me at any time. I'm always happy to talk about HubZone. I keep saying this, if your business is located in a HubZone, if people's house is in a HubZone, that's not very helpful unless you know where the HubZones are. In order to figure out whether or not you fall within a historically underutilized business zone, here on the left, you see maps.certify.sba.gov. That is a real-time map reflecting the HubZone areas across the country and United States and possessions, including Guam. I ran, for the purposes of showing us what is going on today, this is the map of Kutztown, Pennsylvania. You'll see most of downtown Kutztown is, in fact, a HubZone. I can tell you right now that much of Reading is a HubZone. Much of Allentown, much of a lot of these towns actually qualify as a HubZone. If you are in an area that has been impacted by a BRAC, that is a base realignment and closure, that means a military base in your area has closed, that may be a qualified HubZone. But please note, you see There is a hatched area over Kutztown on the right-hand side. It actually says, yes, you're qualified and until what date. If you look up your business and you're, say, a few streets out of the grid, or if you believe that the hub zones are drawn in error, or if you're just wondering how to go about looking, what is your primary location, or any questions like that, please reach out at any time. And this is literally what I'm here for. You are not disturbing me. You are not asking a stupid question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I get a lot of people who call, and like I said, they either kind of apologize for working out of their home, or they call and they say, I'm so sorry to ask you this. I know it's a stupid question. Let me repeat again, there is no such thing as a stupid question. I happen to know a lot about law and contracting. If I had to do whatever you do, I would have to call and ask you really stupid questions. If you are, say, an electrician, if you're a plumber, if you do construction, if you do a lot of types of IT, I don't know the first thing about what you do. And if I had to build a building, if I called you, I would be asking shamefully stupid questions. So it's not a matter of a question being dumb or a question being smart. It's a matter of we have different skill sets. And I'd like to think that you would help me out if you had the information I need. So please keep that in the back of your head before you call and feel badly that you're interrupting me, or call and feel badly because you think your question is stupid. Veteran-owned small business. Again, we're looking at that magic number of 51%. A veteran-owned small business has to be owned and operated by a vet, or vets, plural, who own that 51%. There are two different types of vet set aside. If you are a service-disabled veteran to any percentage, then you qualify as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. That is one process that we can help you go through. If, however, you are a veteran-owned business, but not service-disabled, then there is a certification known as veteran-owned small business. While there is a set-aside across the entire federal government for service-disabled vets, please be aware there are set-asides available within the Veterans Administration for veteran-owned businesses. Very recently, we have kicked over the process of certifying as a veteran-owned business to the SBA. So we actually have the program through our computer systems. However, there are great people at Apex Accelerators that can help you not only with the process of veteran-owned business, but in addition, outside of registering here with the SBA to prove your status, in addition, there is a process to become registered specifically with the VA. The benefit of doing so is beyond the access to those contracts I talked about. If you are a registered veteran-owned business through the VA, you get a really fancy, awesome looking medallion that you can use on, for example, all of your market material, proving your status as a veteran-owned small business. We have within our Apex Accelerator system some veteran-owned business counselors who can help you with this process. This is one of the ones that I am going to underline. I know we're mentioning again and again, but it's very important. A lot of times people will want to charge you a huge amount of money for services that either are or can be free. Until a few years ago, well, now about 7 years ago, I actually ran the 8A program and all the minority contracting for the state of Georgia. And I had a friend in Atlanta, great lady, who was advertising that she could write your 8A application for $16,000. You could have knocked me over with a feather because I offer free help. I know a lot of other offices offer free help. Some of the small business development centers, some of the Apex accelerators, some of the woman-owned business centers. There is loads of free help out there. You will hear people that will try to get you to pay money for services that are government services. Government services are free. Please, always, 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 always look for that .gov at the end of a URL. Or if you're working with the university, you're going to be wanting to look for that .edu. I brought this up as an example. I mentioned very early on that to qualify for federal government contracts or to find current federal government contracts, you had to be on that sam.gov. I snapped this off of a major search engine. We'll pretend that it doesn't say which one. And I threw in, say, HubZone certification. You can see all of those entries under HubZone certification that are flagged with a red arrow are in fact third-party contractors who will charge you to become registered in SAM. I am not saying that they are necessarily bad companies. However, please be aware that it is not that you get down to the star line that either A, it is an actual government website, or B, that it's free. There are situations in which you may choose to retain help to get into one of these programs. Generally speaking, I suggest that if English is not your first language, you may require additional help to put together something like an 8A application. Often that help can be found, again, for free. But maybe if you're in that sort of situation, I can understand. But please be aware, anytime somebody comes to you with their hand out and says, you have to pay me for blank, your certification, your SAM, your woman-owned small business, any of these things, please reach out to me or my office and say, is this something I actually need to be paying for, or is this something I can get help with? Once you are registered in SAM, automatically you are going to get tons of email. Some of it is from what I call sharks, which are large businesses or less than ethical businesses who are going to reach out, say, wanting to use your business as a pass-through. It happens. It happens almost immediately. A lot of the businesses are very good at disguising who they are, disguising what their motives are. If you get an email that you kind of have a weird feeling about, trust that weird feeling, please reach out to me at any time and I can help you figure out whether this is dodgy. And I've gotten loads of these. I've had people reach out more than once that receive what looks like a request for quotation from a federal agency. Except when I call the federal agency, they're always like, what? It is actually a large or different business trying to fish all your rates. Terrible things happen out there, and there are terrible sharks for companies who don't know how to swim. However, places like Apex Accelerators and places like your local SBA office can help you either get floaties or eventually teach you how to have your own boat. As I said, all of my information is available. Please be aware. As I like to tell people over and over, everything that I create, all of the presentations I have, everything else, was created on taxpayer time. So that means it is the property of the taxpayer. If you see anything up on my LinkedIn that you'd like, if you want additional information on anything, either for yourself or if you're, I don't know, in a booster program or whatever, please feel free to reach out at any time. When I'm not around, my second in command is named Mr. George Tapia. Mr. Tapia is an exciting benefit to the Eastern Pennsylvania office in that George was actually an owner of a successful 8A certified business in the state of California. He went through the program, he graduated. Eventually, he ended up selling the business, retiring, and coming back to help us out. My background, as mentioned before, I was actually a contract officer and a small business liaison, which means I've been in the seat of the people you are trying to sell to. So I'm happy to give you any information on that side of the picture. Please be aware, you can always reach out to us for additional information on any of the programs we just talked about. In addition, I personally do not speak lending. If I could do math, I'd be a forensic pathologist instead of a lawyer. However, there are a lot of great people in my office or in other SBA offices who can get you additional information on our lending programs, including the 7J program, the 504 program, and we are still addressing any questions or complaints you might have about PPP or EIDL. That being said, I'm actually done with my slides. Oh, thank you. Somebody dumped the websites in the quote, but I'm happy to address any questions that anyone might have. Otherwise, you get some of your time back and you can go grab a coffee before your next meeting.
So just to kick this off, as people are thinking of the questions, you're welcome to raise your hand or just put it in the chat. Our assistant program manager, Beth, is monitoring the chat for you all. But I do have a question from a client that couldn't join today, but wanted to email a question. And while I know the answer, I think for everyone else's benefit, it will be helpful to know. So her question is, as a woman-owned business, could I hire a veteran-owned business as a subcontract for a veteran set-aside?
No, this is actually what we talked about a moment ago.
Mhm.
It is that magic number of 51%.
Right.
The only weird time that we have with the 51%, generally speaking, there are laws regarding how much of any award you can subcontract to another business. However, the one little quirk with that law is if she had asked, for example, if she as a woman-owned business could subcontract it to a woman-owned business, yes. If they are similarly situated, that actually counts. So a vet can sub to a vet, a woman can sub to a woman, and 8A frequently subs to an 8A because either of them would have qualified for the job. Excuse me. Somebody says they might have missed this part. What is SAM? Excellent question. SAM, which is www.sam, like the boy's name, .gov. I'm sorry, like the person's name. I knew girl Sam's, is the central repository in the federal government for all information about federal contracting. SAM is actually a conglomeration of a number of older systems. We used to have a system that was entirely dedicated to figuring out whether or not a company or a person was debarred. That was called EPLS, the Excluded Parties List System. In addition, there used to be a second entire website that was for any company that wanted to do business with the federal government to sign up, essentially. Then there was another website which allowed firms to come in and see everything we are currently advertising and everything we are currently buying. A couple of years ago, they took all of those and squashed them into one giant website called SAM. anything that the federal government is currently buying over $25,000 is going to be in SAM. If you want to register to do business with the federal government, it's going to be in SAM. If you want to put together the paperwork showing you or any of the certifications we just spoke about, it's going to be SAM. So if you need help to get into SAM, again, there are a lot of people out there that are happy to take a lot of money for SAM registrations. Please be aware that not all of them are ethical, but you have to, it's a cornerstone. If you have to be one place, it's going to be SAM, and that's where you really get started. Getting certified as a woman-owned small business is only important for applying to federal bids and contracts. Getting certified as a woman-owned small business at the federal level is only good for pursuing woman-owned small business contracts at the federal level. I realize that I'm saying that time and time again, but this is one of those ones where if you want to do business with Dell or Lockheed or Pico or whomever, a prime may not accept my federal certification as valid. In addition, I am aware that some places, like I think the city of Philadelphia, do not accept the SBA certification of woman-owned small business status. If you're looking into doing work with anything other than the feds, please reach out and I can tell you what exactly you need to show that you're a small business. But if you don't want to bid for federal work, it is likely that our certification is not the best thing for you. In addition, like I mentioned before, unless you're in one of these non-traditionally female or non-traditionally genderless lines of work, then it's not going to help you either, because you're never going to see the set aside. Do I see
We have a
medical
question.
billing?
Yeah, we have a question from Monica. Hi, do you see many contract opportunities for medical billing companies?
Personally,
Yeah.
I have not seen that really since, as was mentioned before, I used to live on Aberdeen Proving Ground, and we had things like TRICARE and a infirmary and stuff like that. Back then, I saw more things like that. If you reach out to me, I'm happy to show you how, and this is true of anyone. If you are in a line of work and you're like, hey, is there actually enough work out there for this to be worth my time? Please reach out to me and I can teach you how to see whether or not there are federal contracts for your type of business, or see whether or not there are enough federal contractors for your type of business. Or if you are aware of a competitor who is selling in the federal marketplace, please reach out and I can teach you how to see where they're winning contracts and where they are bidding. I'm not saying that if your competitor is selling there, that maybe you might want to sell there, but I'm saying that. So always happy to teach anyone that as well. And like I said, everything I do is free. So reach out, call. I'm happy to look at your marketing documents. I'm happy to do anything I can to help you expand your business.
And just as a reminder, it's also part of our services. So reach out to your existing counselor. We will identify a NAICS code associated with services you're looking to offer and help you find, search for on SAM.gov for the upcoming opportunities, history of opportunities, and also do the federal search of which agencies issue those types of contracts under that NAICS codes on fpds.gov, which is where government publishes contract information. We have another question. It says, I've been a co-owner for 5+ years, but not a 51 owner, but now change that to 51%. Is that an issue?
So you just bought the additional 1%? Is that an issue? No. Is there a possibility that people will want to see additional information showing that this actually happened? Yes. I mean, it's not a red flag, but it is I'm going to tell you right now that there is a possibility that there may be additional interest in this because it's such a close margin. But yes, it happens. And if you are capable of running the business, then it's better. We see sometimes a company may try to add the additional 1%, but it's to the partner who has the certification but doesn't really have the experience. That's when the red flags start going. But there's nothing inherently wrong with what you're doing. Just make sure to realize that all eyes are upon you. My contact info, I just dropped it in the chat, and I believe that they're going to be giving out the slides, and it's on the last slide.
Yeah, in the next day or two, we have recorded the sessions, and Jen will share the slides with you. It will be sent to all of the registrants for this event. So please be on the lookout for that. Just give us a day or two to download the video and cut it to appropriate size for us to share it with all of you. So, and also, if you are not currently following our YouTube channel, all of our previous sessions are listed on there as well. So, and I apologize for my voice, it's kind of giving away as we're speaking. But let's see, do we have any more questions? Also, just besides the chat, you can also raise your hand or just unmute yourself at this point and ask. We welcome that. If not, I want to thank Jen for your time. This is a great opportunity to hear directly from the source of these certifications and not a third party interpreting the rules and regulations. So we